All right, guys. Welcome to This Week in Fragrance. Man, it's been a minute, actually. I don't really have a consistency to the This Week in Fragrance segment because I'm like so far ahead in my own brain, and there's just so much going on. I'm always just trying to. This Week in Fragrance is almost like a smoke break to all the different conceptual ideas that I'm dropping on a weekly basis. Sometimes I'm like, man, they just need to hear a bunch of podcast style content. Sometimes they need to hear reviews. I'm just all over the place. So I apologize for the lack of consistency in This Week in Fragrance, but we're going to try to at least do one every week. Seems like it's going to be the pace for us. Scent of the day, boys. Edge of Eden. Day 3 fragrance. I bet you guys have been kind of foaming at the mouth. Well, I know that because I've been getting contacted so much about it. Talk about one of the hardest fragrances on this channel to review. This fragrance, though the scent itself is not challenging, has been one of the most difficult to prepare a kind of a quality review because in some ways, it's like a really controversial scent. It's very unique. It's very out of the ordinary. Typical to the identity of day 3, having very unique stories behind every fragrance and things like that. But this one is far beyond any type of abstract or scent memory type of fragrance that they've done. It's truly one of their most, I feel, risky compositions, even though it's insanely safe to wear and extremely versatile. You guys saw the marketing for it. I've been wearing the heck out of this and really trying to wrap my mind around what would be the most valuable to bring to you guys. Now, you guys know, like if you were watching any other reviewer, you could gather information and see what the vibe is for everybody, but don't try to look at my sentiment right now and think like, oh, that means SB doesn't like it or SB does like it or whatever. Just know when I drop this review, ain't nobody gonna have to say about this fragrance what I'm about to say about this fragrance. My goal is to serve the people with helpful information, not to import my bias into your bias, and give a thoughtful review as well as my personality. So in terms of what I gravitate towards and everything like that. So that fragrance has challenged me because it is so unique and so different that it challenged me at many times. I was like, I really like it. And then what do I do with this? And then, just constant back and forth. And some fragrances are like that. You have like an odd connection to it. You don't know why. You don't have practicality and concrete ways of thinking about the fragrance in terms of your collection and all the normal stuff where typically you smell a scent and you either like it or you don't. Some scents really boggle you, and you have to have the courage to sit with them with no intent other than to see if you gravitate to it and really be honest with where you're at. Don't try to get to a conclusion of I like it or I don't. Sometimes it's just about being with the fragrance, spending time with it and seeing what happens. And that's what I've been doing with this scent. Shout outs to Michael Paul for creating a very thought-provoking scent that goes beyond just practicality, but is daring. This is a very daring scent for how simple it is. This week in fragrance, what am I seeing? I've been in a lot of auctions, picking up a lot of fragrances for the channel to review, a lot of nook and cranny, off beaten path sets. Matter of fact, let me go grab this for you guys. This just came in the mail today. This scent is so unique, I don't even know what the name of it is. But you guys know I've been completing my Lalique collection. Just got this in the mail. Check this sucker out. This is like a rare vintage glasswork piece slash dabber perfume for women from the House of Lalique. Super cool. You'll almost rarely find this online unless it's getting price gouged. Just been acquiring some different Lalique pieces that you guys are unfamiliar with that I can bring to the channel, because I do have a bias towards the House of Lalique. And so I've been getting a lot of Lalique fragrances that you would never typically see, so that we can continue to show love to that brand. Another thing I wanted to mention is I kind of been seeing a lot of this lately, and you guys see it ever so often. I wanted to put this piece of content in this week in fragrance, because I know a lot of content creators don't watch each other. You know, they're all buddy and friends, but they don't really tap in regularly, or they tap in just to show face and then they leave. So I wanted to throw what I'm about to say into the most seemingly boring segment of my weekly content, because I know that most of the content creators will never watch a This Week in Fragrance of mine, for whatever reason. But so this is really for my, ride or dies. Those are the people who watch This Week in Fragrance. People who like to just hear me speak, like to hear my mind. And so this is like our intimate place where you guys can, we spend time, the people who y'all really dig what I do and are supportive, which I'm highly appreciative of. That's where I wanted to stick this content, because I rarely would ever put content like this out as an official video unless you guys won from it, meaning that it would bring you guys a heck of a lot of value to your fragrance journey. There's a lot of fragrance influencer on fragrance influencer beef, and a lot of people out there are saying this and acting like this, and this is how I feel kind of vent sessions. I've seen a number of fragrance influencers go live, make videos, and talk about just the various problems that they have with the fragrance community, and really who they're identifying without identifying is the fragrance influencers, and they got beef. They won't say they do, it's not that deep, but it's deep enough to try and make a clickbaity title and, round up a bunch of conversation about it. And I don't really know how I feel about it yet, totally, which is why I haven't spoke. And you guys know I take this energy even down to the review. I won't review something unless I feel like I've arrived at value that you can benefit from. So I haven't really spoken on this. Maybe I never will. But I feel like a lot of fragrance influencers are bored, man. Shout outs to people who have been consistently dropping content about fragrance. Not about people of Fragcom, not about opinions of Fragcom, but fragrances. And entertaining, thought-provoking, edutainment, educational fragrance content that helps people in their everyday journey through fragrance at every level. Shout outs to you guys, because it's, I can't find that many influencers out there that are of my size, that are my peers, that are consistent. Even some of the most consistent people fall off the face of the earth for months at a time and come back like nothing happened. Hey, life, blah, blah, blah. And so I feel like a lot of fragrance influencers are just bored, man. Like, you get a lot of fragrances, you review a lot of fragrances. The idea of sitting down and doing a review every day or consistently is just a pain in the butt. You arrive in seasons where you're not that interested in buying fragrances and whatnot, and it seems like the easiest thing to do is vent. Let's call it vent content, where you are lazy and you're not creating consistent content, or you're running out of ideas, and instead you want to commentate on things that easily cross your mind, which is the controversial stuff. When you are lazy sitting there watching other people speak for the 1 minute you tune into people's content, and then you draw up concepts, and then you make an invisible beef where you're shooting invisible bullets at invisible targets, And it's just I'm guessing, guys, but I just think a lot of these guys are bored, you know, and they're running out of ideas. And it's not like maybe I'll get to that point. I'm not exempt from that. Like, who wants to sit around and talk about fragrance all day? I do, but that's weird. To your benefit, that's weird. But I just love fragrance so much, guys. I mean, it's oozing out of my pores. I drop multiple videos every single day, and we're about to approach 2 years of doing that consistently with no breaks. While everybody is consistent and inconsistent, or consistent but lacking creativity and innovation, we've constantly innovated. We've constantly created content. We've constantly gone out and supported other channels. No matter who the name or how big the size, we go out and we spend money on other channels to support them and say, hey, keep going. And we do collaborations with all sizes of channels to get awareness out and to push our ideas and our love for this thing. And I've constantly done that. You guys have never gone a day without something new. But that's rare, guys. Like, you know, that's just so rare. You know, you guys are really privileged from that. But yeah, I just feel like a lot of these influencers are just really bored, man, and somewhat lazy, somewhat bored. You know, it's in and out of season. And I don't know how relevant a lot of this content is to be speaking about. You know, at the end of the day, the great thing about YouTube is we can curate it exactly how you want your YouTube subscription page to look. You can make it. You can tailor the type of content you see every day. You don't have to see all these people that you either have beef with or don't relate to. You can simply unfollow them and move about your day. You could create the life you want to live in this YouTube space in terms of the content that you're exposed to. And yet we stay subscribed to people that we are opposed to or that we are indifferent to, not for the sake of peer-to-peer development and all that stuff, but simply for the sake to just spy on content, make concepts on it, and bash it inadvertently in different content releases when we're lacking creativity and originality, or when we want to make clickbait. I just don't understand that concept. I don't know who wins from that. There's like this group of influencers, but then there's another layer under that of collectors, and they all seem to be in some sort of cahoots where they all kind of have their little teams and divisions, and some people switch rosters and jump ship, and they all kind of have these different community conversations about each other. It has nothing to do with actual everyday people like you. And they make content in dry seasons where they're not really getting it popping. And it's quite boring to me. Like, but then again, like, I drop fragrance reviews every day. That's kind of boring. So that's why I say in a lot of ways, I don't know how I feel about it yet. I'm venting too, but I'm venting in a place without clickbait titles and where I know not that many people are going to watch This Week in Fragrance. But I just kind of want to share with you guys where my head's at. If you've ever been like, man, why is SB not talking about a lot of this? Why isn't he on Fragrance Court? Why isn't he going in? I like to go in on the fragrances and on the public perception of fragrances, not public perception itself or the opinions of others very much. And if I do, it's for the sake of the fragrances and the fragrance journey and the people who are in this very casually. I think that's the only thing of benefit and value. And even when I innovate, I try to innovate in ways that would make your fragrance journey better. It's really, I think we're in a season where you have a lot of fragrance collectors or people who are just buying a ton of fragrances that create channels that really shouldn't exist. And then they get left in these pockets in these seasons where they're realizing they're not cut out for it. And instead of just admitting that, you know, maybe they're not into it anymore, or that they're not collecting fragrances very much anymore, or they're not excited about certain things about fragrances in the fragrance industry, Instead, they're going to make an exit strategy on this is why I don't do this anymore, because these people say this stuff and mommy, mommy, daddy, daddy, help me kind of scenarios. But it's just, it's, I don't know, I'm just venting, right? I love fragrance right now, and I could quit tomorrow. But if I quit tomorrow, I'm not coming back. I'm going to be transparent. But while I'm here, I'm going to not take my foot off the gas. I love fragrances, and my content is a reflection of that. Every day I have something to say about fragrance. There's something new, there's something fresh, there's a new discovery. And that stuff is so much more interesting to me than looking at other channels and speaking on people's beliefs about their journey. I really want you guys to understand that my channel is not about fragrance reviews. I am a documentarian. I'm documenting my journey. I'm not trying to create ways in which you go about your journey and all that. Like, that happens naturally as a product of me speaking so passionately about the things I'm discovering. But at the end of the day, I am just leaving behind the breadcrumbs and the paper trail and the footprints of one random guy who's going through a fragrance journey, hoping that if somebody else is going through a journey, they can look at the footprints and their journey looks better and more efficient than mine because I gave them valuable information. It's subjective, not all of it's true. Sometimes I might lie, sometimes I might say something, and then a year later, my opinion changes because I change and I don't go back and address that. It's all a part of the game, guys. It's all a part of the game. But when it's all said and done, you guys have the track record all laid out of complete transparency. It's like watching a movie. You know what I'm saying? So that you guys can make the best decisions. When you look at my breadcrumbs and my paper trail of the work that we've done here, all you're going to see is complete transparency, somebody working hard, somebody deeply in the fragrance game, somebody deeply smelling the fragrances, wearing the fragrances, never letting up, not caring about what other people think, just kind of living my own life and bringing value. So any of the errors and things that I might make are just a part of the game, but you guys have enough information to have real discernment on the situation. That's why I don't respond to people who go to my channel for like a week, drop a comment or two, and then kind of just piss on the tree and leave. Because it's like, you're not from here. You don't live here. You just traveled through, you're passing through. You don't like it. Cool. You could say that, but if you're trying to be toxic and piss on the tree, then I'll remove you. I won't even let you know I saw what you had to say. And there's a lot of people who have been removed from this channel simply because you're not creating the environment that I'm advocating for. And not only that, but you're also trying to sabotage what we do as well. So when it comes to sabotaging and toxicity, I have zero tolerance for it. I won't even give you the time of day of knowing that I saw the low frequency that you tried to pump into my channel. And I won't even let the fans and the supporters and subscribers see that because it doesn't benefit them either. Disagreements are different than that. Disagreements can be respectful, somebody can feel completely opposite. You know, I've even seen recently there's people that, you know, disagree with me regularly and then recently have been feeling themselves enough to try and be toxic, and I just remove them, even if you've been a subscriber for years, because it's just like, you now are revealing all that indifference came with an energy that I don't support. It was no longer respectful. And what we're creating here is private and for us and by us. And you don't have to like it or be a part of it or feel a certain way. You don't have to follow the channel. Or if you want to stay along for the ride because you get benefit out of it, take your shoes off when you step into my house, right? and you can exist. I love that. I love the back and forth. I fully am aware that we're all different and we have different opinions and different tastes and stuff like that. But I won't tolerate the division, the disrespect, the toxicity and stuff like that. You guys don't even see that type of energy on this channel because it gets removed so fast. But the influencer on influencer beef is like such a fabricated concept in my mind. I don't even like to address it, which is why I haven't really gone on fragrance court yet. I'm waiting for the topic that you guys will win from seeing me debate on. You know, you guys would win. In my mind, no one could beat me in a fragrance court because I would never go on a fragrance court unless I was fighting for value for the people. So if you were more compelling than that, then the crowd just wins because you brought value, I brought value, and maybe you proved something that might have disregarded some things, but I know I wouldn't even step in the building if I wasn't bringing value. So my approach to FragCom would be less about an opponent and more about, you know, can the people get something from this? Can they be entertained? Can they be educated? Can we provoke thought in them that would benefit their journey type of thing? You know, but shout outs to Fragrance Court because it's been good. It's created a lot of good controversy. It's tested people's communication skills and the ability to have speech and debate skills, which not everybody has, as you guys can see. And I want to create a boutique experience on my channel that really is about zero ego and 100% discovery and documenting. We're not trying to be masters of fragrance. We're not trying to be perfumers. We're not trying to be the Lord of Fragrance. We are just regular everyday people smelling stuff and talking about it. And any value you can get from that, great. If you want an educator with a degree or a perfumer with a degree or an influencer with a massive audience, all that stuff is out there. That's not what we do here. But yeah, we're just picking up a lot of, anyways, throw that in the trash. Yeah, we're buying a lot of fragrances. We're buying a lot of samples, discovery sets. We got a lot to come through or to get through. And I'm going to, as you guys have seen, I've been doing more of my conceptual bag to jump into these concepts. And what I'm also going to start doing soon is going through your guys' comments and in my This Week in Fragrance, and I'll even do episodes on this. We're going to look at some of the feedback you guys have been giving me on the compliment videos, the clone videos and all that. And I'm going to be answering or rebuttaling a lot of the comments that have been in the comment section. So if you guys have like an opposing idea or thought or a supportive thought or whatever, keep commenting on those videos because eventually I'm going to walk through them and address them so we can just get maximum clarity on my views, because I know I have a tendency to do different tangents that sometimes get away from the overall title of the video. In my attempts to further talk about the title of the video, sometimes you guys take what I say and you get a different conclusion out of that, which is cool too, but I just want to bring clarity to that. Excited, definitely excited for this year. There's just so much endless opportunity. I was talking to Kix about this the other day, like we are creating the community that we want. And I love that. That's why I don't like unfollow a lot of the influencers in my space and my peers and stuff, because I want my content to challenge the way they do content. And I want to be challenged by the way they do content so that we can all grow and we can all innovate and create a different type of atmosphere for fragrance that's all ages, that's educational, that's respectful, that's thought-provoking, and that is controversial respectfully and lovingly, you know? And I believe we can do that. I think we've consistently shown that we're doing something here that's different than what you see in FragCom. So I don't really pay attention to a lot of the crappy parts about FragCom because my FragCom is not your FragCom. I create a different reality in my scent bubble, right, than what you experience, because I don't let YouTube and the world curate my journey. I make my journey. I gravitate towards individuals that are all in a certain space, and we move as a unit in FragCom in our own bubble of experience. And that experience is tailor-made and it's custom to us. It looks like us. It's by us. It's for us. And so that's what we're creating here. We're not really interested in anything else. But I'll be featuring on a lot of channels soon. Excited to continue the conversation of fragrance. And I'm excited to see what you guys have been getting into. Like, what fragrances have you guys been buying? Have you guys been appreciating that we're not just doing reviews anymore, that we're actually doing more edutainment and thought-provoking stuff? Give me feedback, guys, because you know if there's anyone out there who listens to feedback, I respond to every comment. I reply to every comment. You know, I respond meaning, you know, I like it, I acknowledge it, I reply back, and to everything. So any bit of value you want to bring to the channel by putting a comment, super beneficial to me, because it allows me to kind of see how I'm steering my boat, make adjustments, and continue to create a great experience for you guys. So with that being said, that's This Week in Fragrance. Sound off in the comments, like, comment, subscribe, more importantly, turn on that notification bell. Talk to me, I do talk back. Check the playlist section as well as the free Discord. And I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your week.